Welcome to the Z Truth Podcast, where we have transparent, real, and thought-provoking conversations. Your host is Zakira Casado, the author of 15 social media secrets that pay. So let's get real, get honest, and get started.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Z Truth and Nothing But the Truth. We're a podcast that focuses on transparent, real, unbiased, thought-provoking, and holistic topics. Our goal is to definitely impact, motivate, inspire, educate, and have a whole lot of fun unpacking topics and conversations that will definitely help the culture. Now you tell me if this is season 5 or season 1, because a lot of you know me from Thoughts Podcast, which stood for True Honest Opinions Towards Success. It actually used to be even True Honest Opinions That Stick. And so originally we started off with 3 of us, then it became 2 of us. And then if you watched last season, we had myself and a ton of incredible guests. Let me just go ahead and shout out all those guests from last season. So I just want to shout out Barry Nash of berrybomb.com, Bear of Pedal to Pedal. She is Phyla, which is Phyla, right? You can follow all these people on Instagram and Facebook. Stephen David Elliott of the Elliott Group, Chris Whitehurst of CW Dressings, Link Green the Chemist, Tana from Champ Circle, Ada Louder, which is an incredible guest. All of them are incredible. Shaniqua of Elevated Expressions, David Anderson, Jay Locke. And to start us off from last season was Little Zodaddy. That's his name on TikTok. Definitely follow all of them. I'll be sure to tag them in this post and another post separate just to thank them for really adding value to Thoughts Podcast. Now, why did I decide to change the name? There was many different reasons, and I'm going to go over a few of those reasons to why I decided to change them. So again, the truth, the first T in truth, y'all, is transparent. And if I'm being transparent, one of the reasons I decided to change the name is, number one, like I said earlier, we started off with 3 of us, and then it ended up being myself. And being honest, when I first started Thoughts Podcast, I was connected with 2 young ladies that were amazing. And, we different in different opinions. We ended up splitting. At one point it was just me and Nicole, but it originally was me, Jay, and Nicole. And then Jay decided to leave. Then after Jay left, it was me and Nicole. And then Nicole, life started happening. And then it was myself. So sometimes I think we underestimate the impact that sometimes relationships have that are not romantic. It's friendships and all of that. And so the name always reminds me of all 3 of us, okay? And so that was one reason. But I kind of bypassed that. And then I had went out, got some t-shirts made. People were asking for t-shirts because, first of all, thank y'all for listening, because we're on Apple Music, we're on Spotify, Amazon Music, all of the major platforms where you can listen to a podcast. And so we have a pretty good following. But the name, after we got t-shirts made, I remember I was rushing, getting dressed for my first hat, which is my home daycare. And I grabbed the t-shirt, was about to put it on. I looked down, and even though the name stood for True Honest Opinions Towards Success, when it was totally just me, you see thoughts big. And I'm like, how would I explain this to my kids? These 1 and 10-year-olds like, what does that say, Miss Kara? Well, it says thoughts. Of course they don't know what it is. But for me, I didn't feel comfortable in presenting that even when I walk outside and go to the store, I'm like, there was many times when I would go to the store and I would think, well, they would have to read the bottom where it says the acronym, but the main name was Thoughts. And if anyone knows me, you know, and it's actually funny, one of our guests, Champ Circle, Tana, he was like, but Z, you think that really match? And I was like, yeah, well, I know it doesn't match me, but that's not the point. It's just a catchy name. And it's hilarious because I don't know if it was in one of the episodes on Thoughts, but I know for sure me and Linkering, one of our guests, we did a funny skit because one time when I first named my daycare, so my daycare is actually Frowns Who Smiles Daycare. And the original name, if you go back to New Jersey's files, when I first registered the business and I got my license in New Jersey, it was registered under Kira Kid Care. And so I got a lot of ideas. You know, if anybody knows me, I'm the idea bandit. You know, from 1 a.m. to 4 p.m., that's when they come the most, right? But all my ideas are not good ideas. So Kira Kid Care, if you abbreviate it, was KKK Daycare. And so unintentionally, I was putting out something with the intent of trying to give a new positive meaning to something that in most cases would be considered negative. And it just wasn't a good idea. So we made this funny reel. I'll make sure to actually share it so that those of you who actually watch the podcast and listen to the podcast, you'll know what I'm talking about when you see it actually on the platforms. And so, you know, I remember one time a parent called and I said, hi, thanks for calling KKK Daycare. And they hung up immediately. And again, not knowing it stood for Kira's Kid Care. So the same feeling when I changed it from that to Frowns to Smiles Daycare is an exact emotion I felt, because there is something that we all have. If you don't notice, this is some free game. All of us, when you start a business, needs to choose your brand voice. And so what a brand voice is basically the voice of your brand. What does your brand speak to the people that follow you and the people that you want to attract that will begin to follow you because of your brand voice? Like Thoughts Podcast would be perfect for somebody like, in my opinion, a Sexy Red. If you listen to her music, I remember at practice, one of the girls was playing it and one of her songs, I was like, did she just say the color of her booty? You know what I'm saying? So that's not something I'm going to discuss here. But, you know, it was a great idea. I think it was very impactful to things that we were able to do. And then the last season with myself and all these guests, if you missed season 5, or is that season 4? If you missed season 5, go back and watch it. These guests gave something on every show that, number one, if you're in business, you need motivation, you want to be inspired or learn about a specific topic, especially the ones that they discuss. And it's like crazy because everyone who I see that has been on the show has been flourishing. Like, shout out to Shaniqua from Elevated Expressions. I mean, her idea was so unique about having these song gatherings where people come and sing, and it's like, it was so like a different idea, but to see it flourishing is so incredible. And that's not just her, it's so many of them. So, but definitely I was noticing that, like, wow, you know, hopefully the people who watched the podcast last season and all the seasons before that, you really gained value. And that's exactly what's going to continue. The only thing that's different, we got a new vibe. We got some incredible things planned. I have a guest host that's going to be popping in and out. Shout out to Jamie from The Sleuth. If you are not following her already, definitely go and hang out with her. And so, again, I would put that t-shirt on, and the last straw for me was when I was rushing to get a t-shirt. I ran and grabbed one out my closet, and unfortunately, I didn't feel comfortable enough to wear it around my daycare family. That's what I call them. And that didn't sit well with me. And so I decided, man, what should the name be? It's always something conducive to something in business, but I wanted to do more than just business because I feel like a lot of people need to have access to the same kind of information that I was blessed with. Because, honey, if I'm being transparent, okay, you're looking at a 360 turnaround, all right? Let me just tell you. I sometimes have conversations with my friends, my family, my business associates, and it's like I want to empower people and help them live and not just go day to day doing the same old, and not really, again, if that's what your dream is, then that's great. But if it's not, I want to give access to information that make us dream again, that make us create more, that make us collaborate more. Creative collaborations are so beautiful, right? And so anyway, that's why I really changed the name. And shout out to Lynn Dawn. I put out what could you call it? A public announcement. I need y'all's help. And it was over 100 and something comments. I don't remember how many it was. So it was a decent amount of comments, of suggestions. A lot of different names got close. Like I actually did like We Hear You, Zai. We had so many different options. But the one that really stuck out, because it's, again, some free game. It's not just about, is this a good name that sounds good? How can we market this? How can this be something that is not so restrictive? And, like, for example, I really liked business therapy. And that's one of the services that I offer, right? So I'm like, man, that's so perfect. I never thought to name the podcast that. But when I thought about it, I didn't want to discourage people who weren't in business, because I feel like the podcast is going to be impactful, entertaining, and also enlightening for whether you're in a business or not, because at the end of the day, you might not be the owner, but all of us are a part of some business, or in this day and age, it's really hard to get by with just one thing. So maybe you do work here, but you have your side hustles and you have your other things, right? And so that's why I didn't want to call it that, because I didn't want it to be so restrictive. I want it to be not too broad so that you understand what you're getting here. Transparent, real, unbiased, thought-provoking, holistic topics, right? But that covers so much, but at the same time, not limit us, okay? And so shout out to Lynn for coming up with the idea. I was willing to pay $50 for a good idea. It was a lot of great ideas, and that's how we get to the truth. It was, again, not just can you market it, what's the logo going to look like, how is this going to be presented? And so all of that comes with it, and that's why we chose Z Truth as the name, because all of us felt like that was definitely the right choice, okay? And so here we are. Okay, now my question to all of you, because I want this to be interactive, and I don't know if you watch this, because we're at 13-18, right? And so should this be season 1, or should this be a continuation? Because again, different vibe, new name, but same mission. And that's to change the culture, okay? And so again, shout out to everybody who came on to the show last season. I also want to give a shout out to Pick'em Pros. I went to an amazing event this past weekend. They have them there once a month at King's. And it's just this father-son duel that basically picks who they think are going to win in the football game. And I think they do basketball also in the NFL games for the week. And it's 3 of them. The main 2 are the father and son. They also have Desmond, who is a former NFL player. He comes in and, they really have an amazing thing going. So they have a live podcast, and they were throwing these bucket hats. So I had to rock it. I said, man, this is a dope bucket hat, because it actually fixed my big old head. But anyway, so shout out to them. Follow them. They're on all social media as well. Now, relevant topics that we have missed in this off season. We took off about 3 months. As promised, I said we would come back, and our last episode was in August. And we took a 2.5 month break to come back to talk about some of the things that we missed. I want to know y'all opinion about AI also. That's one of the topics we're going to talk about tonight. And I particularly have love and hate for it, okay? And the reason why I want to talk about this, because this is definitely going to be the future. It is the future. It is, and let me explain what it is. If you go back to our last show with Link, he does a great job breaking it down, but I'm going to break it down. Basically, it is a big computer comprised of all of our habits, all of our thoughts, and previous work put into this big pot that allows us to be able to think with all these other brains. Imagine being studied for years, and now you have the case study in one file, and every time you have a thought or you want to create something, it creates it based off of what we've already seen or created, okay? Some of the greats, some of all of the greats in one big old computer, right? And so where I love AI is that it helps you to think a little bit more. It helps you. What I use it for is if I'm stuck and I just need a little bit more to my creation, I absolutely love it. I also, I will use it for that. Matter of fact, one of the ways I came up with the acronym transparent, because we want to be transparent, real, unbiased, thought-provoking, holistic topics. I could not think of an H, and so I put in there, this is what my podcast is. Can you please help me with this acronym? And that's how I got the last H, right? I was like, can you give me another H? Can you give me another H? And it keeps allowing that. However, the actual idea itself was birthed naturally, okay? If that makes sense. And so while I love that about AI, I also love with content creation, especially video editing, when AI is attached to it, it has an incredible way of knowing that, okay, if this is a food video and it looks pretty healthy based off of whatever the computer scans, I'm going to give options of this video, of the music selections that are going to fit this video, which, creatively, I always go into, if I'm trying to select music, I normally actually take a keyword of whatever the purpose of that video is. Like, for example, let's say I have a client and they do massages. Matter of fact, shout out to Tune Massage Spa on Litchford Road in Litchford Village in Raleigh, North Carolina. They actually have a special in October for full body massages for only $36. But let's say I actually have a client that has a video, I create a video and it's for massages. When I'm selecting music, I usually just type a keyword like massage or tune or what have you. Now, do I know any songs that talks about massages? No, but you'd be surprised at how many videos, how many music selections will come up with that. But here with AI will already know somehow with its technology that this is the right, or this is some music that you probably are going to want to use, and then also sync it to match the beat. So if this is the beat, right, AI knows how to make that sound match how it's editing your video. I love that about AI. What I don't like about AI is that when people use it too much, there is, in my opinion, a spiritual happening to an idea when it's birthed naturally, okay? So if I say I want to create the name of a podcast, right? Or if I want to create a meal, sometimes you are led in spirit on a word, not like, I'm not saying like a preaching word on, I mean like a word in regards to, like, for example, Pick'em Pros. We don't know how that was actually created, but do I think it was created by AI? No, because of how unique it is. Now, could it have been? Yes. But I feel like when there is a real thought from that particular person who's supposed to actually create the idea, because I feel like sometimes specific people are supposed to create that specific idea, if that makes sense. And so that's where I don't like it, where I feel like sometimes we lean on it too much, and instead of using it as a tool to help guide or enhance a thought versus give me the thought, you know? Like, for example, I don't need to think about a list of what I need for a party. I need to create the party, right? And so instead of saying, hey, AI, what's the latest colors? You pick your colors, but AI, give me a list, a to-do list and a checklist of all the things I need to remember that I need for a party. What kind of party? For a sweet 16, for a baby shower, whatever. Use it for those things to extend an idea versus create it. That's the only thing that I would have to say about AI. The second major topic I think that we missed in the off season is the election. I think it's one of the most ghetto displays of America that we have ever seen. And this is on both sides of the fence, y'all. Like, I don't think Trump is less ghetto. I don't think Kamala is less ghetto, because both of them opened up their debates, or not their debates, their conferences with, he had Kid Rock, she had Megan Thee Stallion. It was just, and I get it, influence. This is a great example of how powerful influence is. Influence is so powerful that for the 2024 election, we got Megan Thee Stallion and Kid Rock as the opening acts. You know what I'm saying? And that's because they have the influence. Okay, if you have influence, honey, you can get anywhere in 2024. But for me, I feel like it's a lot of shenanigans going on with the election. I do not think that Donald Trump got shot. And I'm not saying whether I'm voting for Kamala or for Donald and who's better than, I don't even want to get into that debate. I just feel like the actions of that event did not reflect I got shot in the ear as a president of the United States. Like, what really alarmed me was the picture after where his hand is up. And I get it. You want to display that you are strong, especially at his age. But for me, if you've ever been to a gun range, if a bullet passes your ear like that and actually clips it, I just don't get, I don't see you putting a fist up and any of that. I feel like your ear is going to be aching. I feel like you're going to have a headache. You're probably going to hear ringing, because firearms are powerful. And I think movies really make you think that they're not as powerful as they are. But when you go to a gun range and shoot a gun, you literally can feel death in your hands. That's how powerful how powerful a gun is. So we're talking about a sniper grazed your ear and you can get up and put a fist up. You're that strong. When the last time you been in the gym, Donald? And this is why I also don't believe it, because at the debate between him and Kamala, he had no mark. We're talking, I mean, I got a mark from 20 years ago still on my face. But you have a grazed bullet and you have nothing on your ear. It almost made me feel like he forgot that he got shot in the ear. And I am not saying that Trump's an idiot, right? I'm just going to pause there. I didn't say that. What I am saying, though, is that most people who get a grazed anything, you would still see it. Like, Holyfield still has the missing, like, his ear never grew back. I mean, maybe it's just me. And then with Kamala, and I get it, it's the battle of the who's the best, and you see the commercials, and I'm not a real TV person, but I literally have to watch them sometimes because I decided to try to see if I didn't like the YouTube subscription. So I see all these commercials, but they are annoying. I might just have to upgrade my subscription again because I just don't like the pausing and all of that. But it's just like really cheap shots on both ends. And for me, I really feel like that it's just, I feel like the world could be laughing at us, which is fine. But it's not fine because it's the politics, it's the governing body of the United States, and I just feel like we're playing instead of being serious about politics right now. Granted, I would love to see a black woman as the next president. That would be dope. But I will be honest, I remember seeing something a long time ago on Kamala, and it's like, is she inconveniently black? That's what Donald said, which I did agree. Like, well, I thought you were saying that you were Native American this whole time, you know? And so but at the same time, I get it. You know, it's a kind of, if you black, you is that, okay? But it just gives me a lot of ghetto vibes, and I want to know y'all opinion about it. It's kind of frustrating too. Like, the debate was like, are you kidding me? It was like, this doesn't seem professional. I think the most professional people that was on that show were the moderators. You know, they were top-notch professional. And I believe, you know, anybody who knows me, I like to have fun, but there's a time and place for everything. There is a time and there is a place for everything. And so I feel like that is just not a place for everything. And so that's my thoughts on the whole election. And am I voting? I really don't feel like it, but I'm going to vote. I am going to vote. I think you should vote. Even if you put your name down, go and just do something that we weren't allowed to do a long time ago. Moving forward, my last relevant topic that I think we missed in the off season was P. Diddy. P. Diddy. No Diddy. Hashtag no Diddy. And it's funny. I'm going to highlight something that probably no other podcast highlighted in regards to Diddy. You know, I know he had 1,000 body oils, gels, or what is it? Baby oil. He had 1,000 bottles of baby oil, which is mind-boggling. And normally when the FBI comes and gets you, they have what they need on you. They're not just going to waste an arrest. And I think that's something that, you know, you got to consider. It's not a laughing matter. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he shouldn't pay for what he's done. But I also, at the same time, feel for his family. You know, he has kids. He has a lot of people who he is responsible for. And I just pray for his soul that he kind of realizes the impact that he does have, and you know, and you got to remember, karma is a mother. It don't forget. You might have forgot, but it don't forget. But the part I want to highlight about Diddy, which I don't think most people would highlight, is 50 Cent. 50 Cent began trolling Diddy a couple years ago. I think I started seeing it on my timeline every once in a while for the last 2.5 years. But you know, of course, as we got closer to him finally getting arrested by the FBI, or I'm sorry, the feds, before he got arrested, it became intensified. And I believe he got him a hush order where he I think that's what happened, because there was a point where 50 had to delete everything. But what made me curious and very intrigued by 50 Cent is the fact that he literally got a deal with Netflix. And so once I realized this, I knew that he had a book with one of my favorite authors, Robert Greene. Robert Greene is the author who actually wrote The 48 Laws of Power. And everyone loves that book. I love that book. It's an amazing book. Some parts you should take literal, some parts you probably shouldn't take as literal. And a lot of people believe that that's his best book. However, I believe his best book is The Laws of Human Nature. I actually got a copy right here. I believe that this is Robert Greene's best book. With the exception, I have not completed The Laws of Seduction. But this is my absolute favorite Robert Greene book because it not just talks about human nature as just individuals. It goes deep in how we are so much different when we're in groups. And so if you have networks, if you're around people often, it's a great read because it reminds you that of the influences that you're around, okay? That even the strong are influenced in different ways when it comes to groups. And so that's why I love this book. But going back, Robert Greene has a book with 50 Cent. And so it's called The 50th Law. I knew he had the book for years. I kept procrastinating to getting it. But a reason why I decided to go ahead and I did the auto book because at the time when I realized how powerful of I don't know if you call it a marketing plan, but 50 has learned the art of making trolling profitable. Okay. And so I decided to buy the book. I was on my way out of town. I was going to Jersey. I was at the airport. So instead of me buying the physical book, which I prefer physical books. I like to highlight. I did an audio book and I started listening to the book, and I didn't even realize, because I guess of my age at the time, 50 really helped his career by doing the same thing to Ja Rule. I did not know that Ja Rule was heckled by 50. So I didn't even know the song "You a Wankster, Trying to Be Gangster." I forgot how it go. You a Wankster, something, something. You know that. Everybody know that song. But that's about Ja Rule. And I didn't realize Ja Rule's song, because at the time, Ja Rule was actually the popular rapper at the time. But 50 used the art of trolling to actually boost up his popularity and the ratings and rap, and basically destroyed him in a rap battle. And that's why you only hear about Ja. I mean, Ja Rule still does his music, but we never really heard nothing new from him after this, which I didn't realize it was connected. This is all connected, what I'm trying to say. So seeing 50 cleverly troll Diddy, which he must have knew something that deeper than what we knew, all these years, and then to land a 50 million, I think it was billion or million, I don't know. I know it was a lot of money. $50 million deal with Netflix called Diddy Do It. This is real, y'all. This is real. And so I was very intrigued by that. I actually tipped my hat off to him. And again, I don't know if I could do that method, but it works. That's just like, there was times where 50 would actually talk about his own actors or actresses that would come on the show like, yeah, you got a big head. Like he did that to one of the Power actresses. I forgot the girl name. She was Tasha in Power, the first one. But I didn't realize how it made so many people go back and watch it. So I say all that to say, shout out to 50, and the book is amazing. I did purchase the paperback as well to go with the audio because I prefer the paperback over the audio. But if you've never heard of the 50th Law, sorry, it's been a long day. I really just yarn like that. Definitely check them out. It's really that's my book recommendation. No, my book recommendation is actually the two of them. The Law of Human Nature, that's one Robert Greene book, and the 50th Law of Power, where it also includes 50 Cent. So yeah, that's our relevant topics. We have so much coming down the pipeline for this show. I'm excited about it. I hope you are. This is going to just be an introduction to the rest of the season, which we're going to go through the holidays and all of that as well. And so if you are in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, we would love to connect, because at the end of this season, we're going to have a podcast party. Okay. And so it's going to be exciting. It's just going to be exciting. So again, thank you everyone for supporting Thoughts Podcast. Again, like I said, it's just a new name, a new vibe, and the same mission. Okay. And so I'll be back next Sunday at midnight. I know we got this one out a little later, but thank you guys for your support. Thank you for watching. Z Truth is going to be one of the best and most listened to podcasts in the East Coast, and all around the world. Because it's funny, because Raleigh is the most listened to area of the podcast in the U.S., but we have, like, for some reason, a really good following in India. I don't know why y'all like the podcast so much there, but we appreciate you also. Other than that, I'm going to get out of here. I want you guys to head over to all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and like and share Z Truth. And I'm excited, y'all. Until next time, always live out your week with nothing more than love, peace, and hair grease. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Z Truth Podcast. We hope today's episode gave you value and something new to think about. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join the conversation by following us on all platforms. Sharing is caring, so do us a favor and share it with someone who needs to hear the truth.